Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. So tonight, we're going to cover a couple of topics about love. Joining me, we have our regular love experts, James and Helena Marques, and we'll be talking about how not to be anxious when you're single, and also we'll be talking about all about cheating. Now, what is considered cheating and what is not? So, for example, would you consider flirting as cheating? We'd like to get your take on this, so feel free to voice your opinion by calling us on 020-7686-6300. You can also tweet me on @Chrissy B Show and also Facebook, The Chrissy B Show. And as it's Monday, we'll also have Chris Brown on later with the Self-Development Clinic. But first of all, let's speak to Bianca with the news. Hello, Bianca.
Hello, Chris.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So we're going to cover two love topics today.
Yes, I'm really looking
forward to that. Do you consider flirting as cheating?
Flirting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, it depends really how far it's going, but I do generally, as a rule, I would say I wouldn't flirt with someone else if you're with someone, because that's just, it's unfair to the other person, isn't it, that you're with. You wouldn't like it if your partner was flirting with someone else, then, you know, so you shouldn't really do it. I do it like that.
Some people think it's a bit of harmless fun and, you know, it just builds their confidence a bit. But we're going to be hearing from our love experts
looking
as well.
Forward to that. So in the news this week, a grandfather, I love this story, he placed a £50 bet that in the future his grandson would be playing football for Wales, so, like professionally. He placed this bet when his grandson Harry Wilson was just 18 months old. So that's a very young age, isn't it, to place a bet on someone so young, and he was determined that he would be playing for Wales. So 14 years later, Harry now is 16 years old and was brought on as a substitute during Wales' 1-0 draw with Belgium. So he was right. That £50 bet has now earned Grandpa Pete a whopping £125,000. Can you believe it? And an early retirement as well. Harry's Gramp said, "I retired immediately. I told my manager yesterday that if Harry plays, I wouldn't be coming back." And he did just that. It's amazing, isn't it? I love that story. It's such a brave
I wonder
thing.
how he kind of, I'm sure he spoke to his was it his grandson, you said?
Yeah, it's his grandson.
I'm sure he used to kind of speak to his grandson and, you know, whispering in his ear since he was little. You're going to be a footballer, you're going to be a footballer. Until he kind of like helped him along, I'm sure.
True. I bet he heavily helped push him along. And then when Harry got to about 11, they knew that he was getting really good at football. And then the grandfather was really pleased at his progress, and he knew that he was well on the way to becoming really professional at football. And he tried to up his bid. He tried to put more into the bet. So he went back to the betting shop and he tried to put a lot more into it so he'd get more out of it in the end, because it was going that way. But the betting shop refused him and said, "I'm not going to take any more money from you," because they also knew that he was getting really good. So they didn't want to lose. They knew that it was going to go that way.
I didn't know you could actually do that. I mean, I don't know anything about betting shops. Well, anyway. But I didn't know you could place a bet like sort of 16 years before and then make money out of it afterwards.
Well, you know, there you are, Chris.
Oh, well.
So you want to start betting something. But, you know, the thing is, it's not much of a gamble for him, because £50 is not that much, is it? So it wouldn't have been much lost. But, you know, the fact that he really did believe in his grandson, I think it's just a lovely story, isn't it? Yeah. And his grandson, Harry must have been so happy that he actually made it into the team. It was like a double celebration, because the grandfather's now rich and Harry's now professional.
He's got to buy the football boots now.
Yeah. And he retired, I think, a couple of years early, so it wasn't that much off it, but he was still really happy to get that amount of money. So that's a lovely story. And so a man this week also dropped his wedding ring down the toilet.
On purpose?
What happened? On purpose?
Was it on purpose?
No. Okay. I don't think it was on purpose. So he tried to get it out and he put his hand right in, and then he got his arm completely stuck. And they had to, Chris, the fire crew had to disassemble the sections of the floor to get him out.
Oh no!
It got that bad. I don't know how long he was down there for, and he eventually got freed. But it's not revealed whether the ring got saved. I don't think he got the ring back after all that.
Well, at least he tried, bless him. It must have meant something to him.
Hopefully his wife won't be that hard on him, because he actually did fight for it, didn't he?
Well, I'm just wondering how he dropped it down the toilet in the first place.
Mysteriously, it fell down the toilet. Maybe he was like washing his hands and then, I don't know.
What, over the toilet? Or in the toilet?
Poor guy.
Never mind, moving swiftly on.
Luckily, you're not his wife, Chris. You'd be like grilling him afterwards. Oh, I forgot to say something that was really important. It's my dad's birthday today.
Oh, what's your dad's name?
Tony.
Hello, Tony. That's my dad's name too.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, Tony.
And
Are you going to sing to him?
sing.
Are you going to sing too?
Do you want to sing with me? I'll do it if you do.
Gosh, go on.
Let's do it then.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tony. Happy birthday to you. Mwah.
Mwah. Happy 50th. It's his 50th today.
Oh,
so happy birthday.
nice.
Hope you're having a great time in Jamaica, and I will see you next weekend.
So our programme reaches Jamaica, does it?
Yes, all the way in Jamaica.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. And so back to the news. A travel company, something really strange this was, Chris. A travel company have begun offering holidays for stuffed toys that will cost the owners between £12.40 and £34. But it might seem a little bit crazy, but actually they have got a method behind the madness. The owners of the stuffed animals say they live life through them. And when they see the cuddly toys jetting off to luxurious places, they imagine themselves there. So what happened was a 51-year-old lady reportedly had been unable to get out due to an illness, which made it difficult for her to walk. So she sent the toy off so that she could see different countries and she could like envision it as if she was going there. So at first when I read it, I thought that's ridiculous. But then when I actually read into it, I thought that's quite a nice thing for people who are unable to travel, you know. What do you think, Chris? Do you still think it's ridiculous?
Hold on a minute. Let me get this straight. So they don't go abroad themselves, the people, but they send a stuffed toy to go in their place.
To go in their place.
And that's a replacement for them travelling?
That's a replacement, yeah.
Now, is there a little camera in the stuffed toy?
There must be.
Okay, if there's a little camera, then I would understand, kind of.
Oh, yeah, I imagined it.
But if they're just sending off a stuffed toy abroad, I mean, that's something a child would do, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think I'm hoping that there's a camera in there. And you can also...
it doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it wouldn't make sense otherwise, because you wouldn't be able to see... I'm guessing that's what it is, because they're living life through them. So I'm guessing that it must have must have a camera in there.
That is really strange.
The news always gets strange when I'm talking about it.
It does, doesn't it?
I always find the strangest news, don't I? Guaranteed strange news from me. And so they also got a Facebook page that's like dedicated to this. Oh. And so you can see where the toys have actually been. You can look online and you can see the little teddies and the toys, and you can see pictures of where they are.
I might send my little pig that I've got at home.
What, a little piggy?
I've got a little pig that my mum gave me, so I might send that one abroad.
See, you're getting into it now, Chris. It's catching on.
Do they need a passport? Or you don't?
I think they're going to need a passport, a teddy passport. That's well strange though, isn't it? It's a strange idea to come up with it, I think. Yeah. You know.
Very weird.
It is a bit weird. And also a bride this week wore the same wedding dress as her mother and her grandmother for her big day. Her grandmother Malv wore it in 1950 first, and she'd bought it for the equivalent of around £6.50 with today's money, which was 6 guineas. Have you ever heard? I don't know what guineas are. So 6 guineas, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, too young for that sort of stuff. And they gave it a clean with a homemade mixture of aspirin and white vinegar. And Lucy, who got married, said it was...
Let's take a look at is this the last picture? Was that her? Okay, it doesn't look too old-fashioned, does it?
No, it looks quite nice, I thought that. She gets away with it, doesn't she?
Yeah,
and so Lucy said it was really lovely to wear a dress with so much family history, and it was obviously meant to be because it fitted us all perfectly.
Yeah, it's amazing they were the same size.
Yeah.
Unless they adjusted the dress, obviously. But
they didn't adjust it. They kept it, the same. So luckily it fit them all. And she said also Lucy chose to get married on her grandparents' 62nd wedding anniversary. So it was nice that they could keep that as a memory every single year.
It's quite a saving as well, to be honest, because wedding dresses, even to hire them, they're really expensive.
That's true, isn't it? And it only cost us £6.50 in the first place. So that's about £2 a time, isn't it? That's all right, isn't it? And she said that my grandparents have had such a long and happy marriage, and we hope that we will be celebrating both wedding anniversaries for many years to come. So that's a lovely
get some advice from them.
Yeah, it's
about marriage.
Yeah, we'll have to get them on the show or something. Give us some advice. And also, another strange thing, Chris.
Oh, no.
They've got this new restaurant.
I don't actually vet these news stories before Bianca brings them on. I think I need to start doing that because I just don't know what she's going to bring on. Yes, Bianca, what do you have next?
I think the strange ones are the most interesting to listen to. So this week, there's a new restaurant that's been opened, and they only hire twins. So you can only work in the restaurant if you've got a twin, and it has to be an identical twin as well.
Oh dear.
I know. So it's in Russia as well, actually. And so you're allowed to work there if you've got a twin brother or sister.
Some pictures.
But the problem is that they're finding it hard getting loads of identical twins to work there. Because there's a limited amount, isn't there? And if
unless they
the
start
sack,
recruiting from abroad.
what are they going to do if some of them aren't very good or they get the sack? And then they have to keep them on, really, don't they? Because they've got something.
And that's where they're going to demand their rights and everything.
So that's the only thing that the downfall about it is that they're going to find it hard to find lots of staff, aren't they?
Yeah, that's weird.
Imagine if they just all left. What would they do then? They'd have to just change it into a normal restaurant, wouldn't
Do you have a twin?
Do you know I've got twin sisters?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Not me. I'm not a twin.
Okay, but
they are.
Are they identical?
No, they're not identical. So they probably wouldn't get the job.
You can send them over. Doesn't matter. We can try and get them.
They're
in.
only 6, so
they're
maybe
a bit young to work
young.
behind a bar or.
They could work greeting, hosting at the front, couldn't they?
Oh yeah.
I think they'd be good at that. But they're not identical, so I don't know if they'd get the job.
Okay. Oh, I think we've run out of time now, Bianca.
Well, thank you.
But we do have a caller
Chris.
on the line, but we're going to take their call after the break. So do please hold on. And after the break, we'll be speaking to love experts James and Helena. And we're going to be covering 2 topics today, single and being anxious about it, and also what you guys consider as cheating. So do join us after this. Welcome back to the show. And as I said at the beginning, we're going to be covering 2 love topics today. One of them is being single and anxious, and the other one is what do you consider as cheating? I'd love to hear your opinion about it. So do give us a call on 020 7686 6300. Are you single and anxious? And how do you keep yourself busy if you are feeling anxious, or do you need any advice about it? So do give us a call. And also, what do you consider as cheating? Would you consider, for example, flirting as cheating? And would you be okay with your partner flirting a bit with someone? Or have you been flirting with someone? Do give us a call and let us know. But first of all, let's go to the streets of London to see what people had to say about this topic.
Why do you think women sometimes get anxious about being single?
Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe from movies and the media, they get the feeling that getting a boyfriend is what it's all about. Like when you watch a love movie or something, that's what everything kind of targets to.
Why do you think that when people are single, they get anxious?
They are miserable because they haven't got anybody to cuddle next to in a weather like that. It is much nicer when you've got someone next to you, and it's all rainy outside. So that will.
I don't know why they feel the need to do that. I guess just for company. I guess if you don't have many friends or you're on your own quite a bit, maybe they just like the companionship. Maybe some people just don't like being on their own, do they?
When you're in your late teens, it's like you have that one childhood sweetheart that you always keep in contact with. So I think there is a lot of pressure riding on that you don't want to do anything too late. But I just think you're young, so you should just have fun.
I don't think that I need someone. I'm quite independent, but I guess most people need that affection and that attention all the time. So that's why they are on the look to find someone all the time. That's my opinion though, so that might not be true.
Especially like our age, so many people are like in relationships and stuff like that. So I suppose people who aren't in relationships like are kind of missing out. Like sometimes all their friends like, oh yeah, I'm doing this with my partner, all that, and maybe they're just missing out.
Well, I think most of the time it's the surrounding. Like the people see other couples, advertisements, love everywhere, movies, and I think that just gets into people and like they want to have a relationship.
Okay, so I'd like to introduce love experts James and Helena. Hello.
Oh,
Welcome back to the show. My resident, I was going to say fitness experts just now.
My
My resident love experts.
Not
How
really
are you?
a fitness expert.
Oh, you are near enough. You're going for a run afterwards, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yay. So tell us, were either of you ever anxious about being single when you were single?
Lena, do you want to answer that?
I remember after watching Titanic, I don't know why, I realized, oh my gosh, I have no boyfriend. I don't know why. You know, this is what one of the people said on the interview. Mm-hmm. You watch a movie and you start dreaming a little bit, and you are reminded that you are by yourself. Sometimes, you know, prepared for that.
Yeah, I think I don't remember being anxious. I think when I saw sort of couples together and then like seeing like my friends starting to have boyfriends and stuff. I think I got a little bit anxious.
Yeah.
But I always had the thing that I didn't want to go out with a lot of guys. I just wanted to marry someone, and that was it. And I was hoping just to meet the right person straight away. So I don't think I was very, but I did meet my boyfriend, 19, sorry. I met him at 19.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it also
got married at 24.
I think it also depends on what you have going for you at that time. Because if you're very fulfilled with your life and there's a lot happening and you're excited about where you are in life, and this is really important actually for your love life. And it may seem like your personal success may have nothing to do with your love life, but actually it's 100% related. So if you're very excited about where you are in life and things are, you're excited about your personal development, then usually people tend not to get anxious. I think it's usually when, like you said, you're looking at other couples and then people start to think about that too much.
But do you think people kind of throw themselves into work and career and stuff to forget they're lonely, maybe?
Also, yes.
Some might do.
Yeah, but I think, you can work a lot for two reasons. You can work a lot because you're trying to forget a problem you have at home or something that's not going right. And you can work a lot because you enjoy your work. You enjoy your job, your career, and you want to progress in your career. And that's a very, very healthy thing. Actually, it's an attractive thing. So there's only plus points in that.
Okay. Well, I'd like to read something that someone posted. And it's quite sad what this person says. And I won't read their name, but I believe it's a man. And he says, I'm 36, been single my whole life, no real life relationship, no female friends, no, maybe she's female, absolutely no physical intimacy of any kind with the opposite sex ever, just one online relationship and never met her. Sorry, this is a guy. How has it affected me? I'm seriously depressed and extremely lonely and sad all the time. I've become isolated and withdrawn. I rarely leave the house except to go to work because it's too depressing to see couples everywhere in public. I've grown bitter and mostly keep to myself. I don't really talk to anyone except my parents and a few people online. My job is about the only thing I have, the only thing that makes me feel like I have a purpose in this world. I honestly don't know how much longer I can stand to live this way. This is really sad. And I think quite honest, because I believe a lot of people feel like this, but they wouldn't admit to anyone. What
If he actually wrote saying how he feels, it's because he's really...
something that I was looking into some time ago is that if you're single and you're looking for someone, usually chances are that the best way for you to do that is to do it through a friend. Like a friend knows someone who's also single. So usually there's that bridge, which is a friend. And that's a great way to meet someone. And actually what he's doing in terms of just going online and talking to people there, it's more like he's hiding away from the problem, and it doesn't look like he's going to solve the problem with the way that he's reacting to what happened to him.
I even would say that he needs to change his routine a bit.
Absolutely.
We can obviously see that his problem is not really his love life, but how he feels about himself through what he wrote, through what he said. So I advise him to, look inside himself, invest in himself, like James was saying earlier. Get busy with healthy things, learning new things. Oh, but I'm 30, he's only 36.
He's 36, but he's making it sound as if it's the end of the world, and the fact that he hasn't had a relationship, because sometimes people get more anxious because they've never had a relationship before, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? No. The fact is, there's lots of people that are going out with every Tom, Dick and Harry, or Jane, Miriam, whoever, and they're not happy. They feel lonely, just as lonely, if not lonelier than this kind of person or this person is feeling, because they haven't found, they're not being fulfilled by having lots of partners. So it's not necessarily because, you haven't never had anyone that's a bad thing. That could be a plus for you.
He really needs to deal with his inner issues, I think. And that's going to change how he sees his life and his future.
And if you think about it, Chrissy, if he really wants to meet someone, first of all, he needs to deal with those issues, like Helena said. But also, being at home is not going to make that happen. No. So, having a social life is very important. When we say social life, we're not really telling you to go to a nightclub, because the people you're going to meet there are probably not the people who are looking for a serious relationship. But take an active interest in something that's important to you, And
even
it's
sports, getting
a sport,
hobbies,
exactly,
something
hobby.
like that.
Join a group.
Exactly, and that's going to lead you to meet someone who's of similar interest in you, and that can lead into something beautiful. That's already, you know, halfway done, because you meet someone with the same interest.
And also, it's important to say that he's not the only one out there in that situation, especially in England, from what we see from statistics. So he's not alone. You're not alone.
So the focus has to come off, I'm single, and the focus has to be on, let me have, let me invest in myself, let me have fun, let me enjoy life, even while I'm single, so that when I do meet someone, I'll have something to offer them as well.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we've got time to read one more before the break. I'm learning to get out there and do things. I have overcome a lot in the time I have been here. I still have not been on a date, but it seems that nowadays not a lot of opportunities have come up. I'm just getting to the point where I notice women checking me out, a relatively foreign thing to me until recently, who knows? So this one's quite hopeful. This one's from Ryan. He says, I just turned 38 a few days ago and I'm still single, no real job, finishing up school this year, and don't know if I'm going to have the energy or motivation to do either. Can't say I've ever been in a relationship. Longest was about 5 years. I would call that a relationship.
That's a proper relationship.
And I just had one over the summer, which was the first pretty serious one in about 10 years. Even before my anxiety started, I was never really a big fan of relationships. Now, however, I just get stressed thinking about the burden I can be because of my struggles with anxiety and depression. I keep thinking I just need to find someone that's in the same boat. Any takers here? Ooh, Ryan.
I think that's a bad idea.
I think so too.
If you get someone who's anxious or who's depressed, and you put them together with someone who's also anxious and depressed, that's a recipe for disaster.
It's going to be both depressed.
Exactly.
Even more depressed.
And also, Chris, you know, it's fair to say to him, he said he's never had really a serious relationship, but it seems to me like he has a lot of experience with relationships. He had one in the summer, he had a 5-year relationship. So the important thing is, I think he's overcomplicating things into going into a relationship. What you need to do is you need to be ready to work hard at making things work, but also remember, a relationship is supposed to be enjoyed. It's something good, right? It's not something for you to really be stressing over. Enjoy the relationship if it's the right one, and work hard to make it work.
And also, I'm all for, you know, sorting out the inner problems before you do anything else, because I used to be quite problematic myself. You know, when I was a teenager, lots of, you know, insecurities, you know, many things. And this person in particular, I think he should, because anxiety is a result of a bad experience of a trauma or something like this that happened to him in the past. He needs to go back and understand what happened, that maybe it wasn't his fault, whatever happened, that maybe it wasn't your fault, maybe it was, you know, life, something happened, you didn't have any control over it, and now it's different.
And
also, things can be different.
Also, just a last remark, Chris, I think a lot of people think that if they find a relationship, that's going to solve their problems, right? That's not going to take away anybody's depression or anxiety. A relationship is not, is not a solution to the problems you have, right? It doesn't make you happy. You have to be happy before you enter a relationship.
I definitely second that, James, because that's the situation I was in when I was depressed and having all sorts of problems. And I thought having a boyfriend or getting married or having a child, for example, would take the focus off the depression, and I would forget I was depressed somehow, and then, you know, it would work out well. But the opposite happened. When I did get together with someone, it really caused major problems in the relationship. So it doesn't help.
And probably made him unhappy as well, right?
It did. A little bit of trouble in my relationship.
Yeah, you probably thought, look, I'm going to be with this person that I love, and he's going to make me happy. Actually, you were making him unhappy, right?
I was making him miserable.
Yeah.
And causing a few little injuries here and there as well, but we got over that. Really happy to do. So we're going to go to a quick break.
Sure.
And then afterwards, we're going to be speaking about cheating. What do you consider as cheating? Is flirting cheating? Is chatting online with someone cheating? Do join us after this, and do give us a call as well to give us your opinion on 020 7686 6300. Okay, so what do you consider as cheating? Now, according to, this was posted in the Huffington Post, and there was a study at the University of Michigan, and they've taken a deeper look at exactly what behaviours people consider to be cheating. Now, the study asked 456 students to rate on a scale of 0 to 100. Now, 0 being not cheating at all, and 100 being Tiger Woods, according to them. This is what they say. Now, after this, they're saying, after the most obvious sex and oral sex, which were respectively ranked at 97.7 and 96.8. I'm sorry, but I don't know how these weren't 100. How can you consider sex not cheating? But anyway, apparently 97.7 and 96.8 anyway. And here are a few other behaviours and how they were evaluated. So, kissing on the lips, 88.7 said that they thought was cheating. This is the rating, okay, from 0 to 100. Emailing pictures of themselves naked, 88.2. Texting erotic messages, 82.6. Sleeping in the same bed, 68.4. Holding hands, 63.2. I actually think holding hands is quite intimate.
Mm-hmm. Of course it is.
We have a theory about this question of what's considered cheating. So when you're ready...
All right, okay. I'll get to you in a second.
Oh, yes, we do.
Listen to this one. Maybe some of you would not think this one is cheating. Forming a deep emotional bond with someone, 52.4. Sitting in someone's lap, 52.2. So it's getting lower. Going out to dinner, some people think it's cheating, 41.4. Sharing secrets, 36.5, and hugging for more than 10 seconds, 34.5. Okay, so obviously there's some obvious ones. These are obviously cheating. Sex, kissing on the lips, emailing pictures of yourself naked, texting erotic messages, obviously cheating, right? I think everyone can agree with that apart from a few strange people. Now, sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah.
No intimacy, no sex, just sharing a bed.
Get yourself a bed.
Not in the same room.
Exactly.
What we were, I was talking about this with Lenny earlier, and what we were discussing is that, for example, I would personally consider cheating anything that you hide from your partner. So for example, if all you're doing is talking, but you're not talking about anything specifically bad, but you feel the need to hide that from your partner, there's a reason why.
That's so true.
Right? So for example, earlier I remember you asked Bianca about flirting, and she said she thinks it's not right, according to her, and I agree with her. But of course, if you don't feel it's cheating, then why would you feel the need to hide it from someone? So anything that you feel the need to hide, whether it's a text, whether it's an email, then there is, if you haven't yet said something that you regret or that you shouldn't say, sooner or later you will, and that's why you're hiding that. So that's what we...
I would even put it in a different way, similar to his, but in a different way. Let's say that you are flirting with someone, or you are chatting online with someone, okay? Or you are hugging for more than 10 seconds. Or anything else. Yeah. Or the last one, the first one that you gave.
Sharing secrets.
No, the first one.
Kissing on the lips.
No, the first
sex.
ones.
Okay.
Yeah. My question is, would you have your partner by your side while you do those things?
Yeah.
If your answer is no, then you are cheating.
Yeah. Or
and we finish that topic for today. Bye, everybody.
and as simple as that.
And we can possibly say, look, if you haven't yet, because sometimes you said, or you had a conversation, or you sent a text which was not necessarily cheating, maybe there was nothing wrong in the text, but for the simple fact that you feel the need to hide it, it means that you have an intention to sooner or later do something that you want to hide from your partner.
Even if, for example, the person might not kind of realize it themselves, but that's like a warning sign to the person themselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you might think, oh, this is just harmless, it's just a text message, or I'm just getting close, we're just friends. But it's true, if you are feeling the need to hide it. But then also on the other side of the coin, there's that person that genuinely doesn't think there's anything wrong with it, but they still wouldn't tell their partner because they know that their partner would be jealous.
So that
and
means,
they would cause
that means already that it's not right.
Yeah. And even if he doesn't see anything wrong with it, the most important friendship that you need to keep is the one with your partner.
Yeah.
And any other friendship outside the relationship, if you're going to have to sacrifice it, then you have to, because the one that's most important is the one with your partner, and nothing can compromise that.
When you have someone, this is special what you do with your partner, you don't do with anyone else. This is exclusive. This is, there's a lot of, how do you say?
Unique.
It's unique. There's a lot of, you know, you do everything together. You start even thinking alike, and, you know, one look, you already know what it means, or you know, do you understand?
Yeah.
There's a lot involved. You can't do these things with other people. That's my view. I mean, you're asking for trouble.
That's true. Now, this is the problem with a lot of relationships, the fact that the couple aren't best friends sometimes. And I'm all for obviously having friendships with people. I have lots of friends, female friends, but I also have that special friendship with my husband. Like you said, there's a look that we can give each other. I know exactly what he's thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. We have our personal jokes that you don't have with other people. And that, I think that's what's missing sometimes for people even to consider cheating, because they start to, when I think, sometimes it's not even about the sex or anything, but when you start to form that bond with someone else, or that emotional bond, that's, I think, is even worse sometimes than the sex, because you're getting involved on a deeper level, because the sex at the end of the day, for many people, especially men, it's just a physical thing. Obviously it's not right, but that's a physical thing that sometimes things take over in the couple. I don't know, for some reason they don't control themselves, but the emotional bond is harder sometimes to break away from.
That's how people get together in the first place. I mean, we got to know each other first, and then we became friends, and we got to know each other for a while. And then we thought, oh, this might work. We get along really well. We talk about everything. And this is, you know, look at us. We ended up where we are now, you know, married.
And just something more that you were saying earlier, Chris, you were talking about friends, right? And it's important for people to understand that even though you have a very strong friendship with your partner, it is okay to have friends of the same sex. For example, there are things that I do with my male friends that I won't do with my wife. Like, my wife won't play football with me, right? So it's okay to play football with your male friends. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't mind, though.
It's not a real challenge, right?
I've been to the gym with her, though. She wouldn't be good at football.
You were talking about female friends, right? I mean, for example, your husband, as much as he loves you, I think his idea of entertainment is not spending a whole day in a shopping center looking at clothes. I think. Right?
There are exceptions.
So of course.
Well, actually,
so of course, this is.
He likes shopping more than I do, but anyway.
All right.
But I think most men would probably say that's the idea of a nightmare. So these are things you'll do with your female friends. And now, when you want to do something with a friend of the opposite sex, it usually goes along, you know, and it turns into something else. Usually, more.
So you're saying that men and women just can't be friends then?
I think
it's not safe.
I think it's very difficult.
I say it's not safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all for prevention.
Now let's look at, for example, going out to dinner. Now, obviously, in work situations, sometimes there will be situations where maybe a manager and someone will have to go out. Not have to, but they will meet up and they'll go out for drinks or whatever. That's. What do you think about situations like that?
I think personally, it depends, right? For example, you're working, you're at work, and your manager says, "Listen, we need to discuss this deal over lunch, right? In the cafe next door, to break free from whatever stressful day you've had." And I think it depends. You can't paint everyone with the same brush.
I had a situation once because I had to go on a training course and I had to stay the night somewhere. And another employee had to go as well, a male employee. So we went together on the this was a number of years ago now. We went together on the train, and then it came to sort of the dinner time. So he asked me, what you're going to do at dinner time? And I didn't want to be rude, but at the same time, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't really know him. It was the first day I'd met him. So I didn't feel comfortable to go to dinner in a hotel with a man that I hadn't met before, even though he was very nice and everything. So I just said, I'm going to stay in my room and have dinner. And, you know, and that was it. So I think you can get out of situations like that if you feel uncomfortable. It's not that I didn't sort of look at him and think, wow, he's attractive or anything, but I just felt that was the better. Right? It wasn't appropriate, because there's some things that aren't appropriate to do, even if it's for work and stuff like that. So I didn't feel bad about it either.
The thing is, you did what you did, I believe, because you want to protect your relationship. Maybe it wasn't your first thought, but it's there. And this is important for people to understand. For example, if a situation like this happens, you have to take many things into consideration very quickly in your mind. Okay, how is my marriage? Is not going well. So it's not good for you to go out for dinner and drinks with another, with a male person, with a man, because you're gonna, you're not well in your marriage. Maybe he's gonna try to be nice to you and do what your husband is not doing.
It's like, different if it's like a group situation,
so
like
call
your boss
else
or whoever.
And doing what you were saying, if your marriage is not well and you're gonna go for dinner with a female colleague, is like putting a person who hasn't eaten for 3 days in front of a plate of food and say, don't touch it, right? You're asking for trouble. So it's not a very good idea.
Someone comes and starts giving you advice. Maybe it's their way of flirting with you or getting their way. And you see the man is there very, naive, or the woman is like, he sees everyone with good eyes. Yeah. And the person comes and starts, oh yes, you're so sad these days, and then they're like, yeah, something happened to my husband or whatever.
I was actually, we know the story of this couple who, they're really well now and really happy, but they were going through some serious problems in their marriage some time ago, and she was saying that she would go and talk to a male colleague at work about the problems she was having with her husband, and they ended up having an affair.
Yeah, but the guy used to be very nice to her. And
yes, so it's like, it's the sharing secrets, like you said, right? Yeah. So how can that not be cheating? Because you are exposing something intimate to someone else.
It's definitely a start to cheating, isn't it? But so guys, we have to be careful, don't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And
You're
we'll
welcome.
have you on again very soon.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. And after the break, we're going to be joined by Chris Brown with the Self-Development Clinic. So do join us after this. Welcome back to the show, and now we are in the Self-Development Clinic with Chris Brown, who just nearly choked on his water,
I just nearly choked on my water, yes.
How are you, Chris? Apart from nearly drowning yourself.
Let's get this water down, right.
Do you want to carry on talking till you clear your throat?
No, I'm okay. I'm good. That was just a question you put to me. He's asked me earlier on.
Okay.
And I thought, it's interesting.
Shall I ask you again in front of the viewers, or do you not want me to ask you?
No, you don't need to ask that question. We're all right there.
Can I ask you?
Talking about...
okay.
What they were talking about earlier on, relationships, that sort of thing as well. And to be honest, commenting on what that person who wrote that letter came to you as well, that really is about them. It really is about them. And to jump further, then I'd say that person has to explore themselves first before they start going outside. The whole idea of relationships as well, and people actually being... Sorry, it's just gone from my head. What did you say? You asked me a question.
Single. I asked Chris during the break if he was ever single and anxious at the same time.
Right, single and anxious. Yeah. Right, anxious, no. Single, yes. In that sense, that's why I started laughing when you said that. Because the thing about it, I wouldn't say I was anxious at the time, because I myself went through certain relationships where I realised that at that moment, that wasn't for me. Okay. So that actually pushed that sort of anxiousness away, and I was focusing more on other areas.
But how old were you when you got married?
How old did I get married? I'd say I was in my 30s, actually. Okay. I'm not talking about my 30s, 40s. I'm talking 40s? About... Yeah. I got married in my 40s, yeah.
Okay. I wonder if... I think women tend to get a bit more anxious when they're getting older. Not that 30s or 40s are old, obviously, but... Yeah. They tend to get a bit more anxious, but for men... But even some men,
it's different from men to women, to be honest.
When they reach sort of 30, 35, even men start to think, maybe I should be settling down now. But you weren't anxious.
No, I think it's a situation. Men... We grow up different from women. Women grow up different from men, and we got different biological things going on at the same time. So that changes and dominates a lot of it. Whether someone would say, no, it's not so, there is a difference at the end of the day to do with biological, and also the fact of going out there and being a hunter as well. We're kind of programmed differently. So what we might look at as where somebody says, oh, you're anxious, might not be deemed as anxious because you're taken up with other sort of things at the same time. Now, I found it interesting because you said earlier on about the person who wrote in, he said, the first statement was, I don't know if it was male or female. And then when he was reading through, we picked up it was a male. And some of the areas that was mentioned there was prominent. And obviously that individual is more thinking on another level. So it kind of threw me a bit at the same time. Not that there was anything wrong with that. I thought it was brilliant that they actually came out there, wrote you and spoke about it openly. And I'm sure there's other guys out there in the same way, thinks that same way as well. But it's not just the general at the end of the day, we say with a lot of men.
Yeah, I wish more men would open up about things, because I really do think that actually when I did the mental health event at the university, it was mainly men that were asking questions, and I found that so refreshing. Men that were admitting that they were depressed and stuff like that, and I found it quite refreshing that finally some men seem to be opening up about their issues, which is really good. I think everyone should. Sorry, Chris, I've taken over your bit.
No, I think this is very interesting. Well, we're talking about on a similar level, but that was about relationships, but this is more about teamwork at work as well, and that's based on relationships, because we're talking about a relationship here. That's a team. A marriage is a team. You know, I see my wife and myself, it's a team at the end of the day, give or take, strength, and you know, the areas that need to be developed as well. Never say weakness, areas that need to be developed. We all got them at the end of the day, right? So let's just go from the first one. What is a team at the end of the day? And that's not the first question I'm going to ask him. Look at this. A negative team. How can you actually have a negative team? What is a team that doesn't work? And I'll tell you, first of all, a team that doesn't work is, one, a team that doesn't share, right? A team that doesn't share is not going to be progressive. And that team that doesn't share starts from the leader, first of all. Now we're thinking about in the workplace. And sometimes you might get that leader, that boss that is really going on about that team, but hasn't actually looked and said, well, am I the person who actually brought this team together? Not talking about actually physically brought them together, in the way I actually work with them. Then a team that does not work is a team that actually, we'll say, well, that leader actually hogs all the glory and says, well, yes, I've done it, and this, that, and the other, but doesn't actually give the accolade to the actual team that made them there. Then there's the other side of a negative team. A team that actually points the finger and blame. Yep. I've seen that in a few places before, where something goes wrong and automatically, first of all team, they're all great and everything, getting on well, and all of a sudden something goes wrong, everything changes. It was that person's fault, it was that person's fault. That team should be able to take on the blame as well as the glory with it, and realise that you are a team. Now, I'm probably saying this now, there's probably someone just come back from work and saying, yeah, that's like so-and-so. There's always that thing that people say, they. You know when you have a conversation, say, oh, they over there, but who are they? We are they at the end of the day. So you're actually part of that team as well. So you've got to think about, what do you bring to it? How can you actually create the team to be better?
I actually respect a person so much when they admit they've made a mistake, because I had a situation recently with someone, and the person didn't want to admit and try to blame someone else for the problem. But I always really respect a person that says, well, actually it was me and I'm really sorry. That's fine by me. It's perfectly fine by me. I really respect people that do that, and I really don't like it when it's obvious that it was that person that made that mistake, and then they try and say, well, it was this person, so it was that person's fault, it was the boss's fault, and it's horrible. It's horrible,
and you lose respect for that person because you realise, well, if they're going to do it there, that's it.
I lose my trust in that person, but as soon as someone says, look, it was me, I'm really sorry, even if it was a really big mistake, it's okay, because you were honest about it. That means more to me than getting the thing right. At least you admit it, and I know I can trust you.
And the thing is, if they don't, and they do the other things you said, one, just so you say you don't trust them, you lose respect for them, their credibility is gone, and the same way they did to that person is exactly the same thing they'll do to you at the end of the day. So that's not very productive at the end of the day. Let's talk about a positive team. Let's turn this thing around now. Positive team. I just said the other side was a team that doesn't share. A team that actually shares ideas is a very positive team. That's a team who actually wants to give, and we're going to work together. Now, in saying that as well, I've actually jotted down through here, we're talking about the others that actually keep others informed of what's going on. That's a positive team as well. A team that actually says, well, if you came up with an idea and says, well, look, well, that person came up with that idea, but obviously we're all going to work on it together to develop that, instead of thinking, oh, that's an idea they got, well, I'm going to come up with this and this, that and the other.
So it's a competition.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
There can't be competitions.
They cannot. A team has to be one at the end of the day. So there we go. Now, overall, what is a team? And while saying this, if you're the leader and you're actually watching this, a team is a body that actually shares a vision, a shared vision. Once you've actually got that shared vision and that goal, that team will pull together and go for it. If that team is segregated and they've all got little visions going on, and we need to do it this way, that way, at the end of the day, it's not going to work. it's not going to work. You know, I've seen, even now, as I said to you before, I'm working with this team called Refocused. There's about 5 core people on this, including self, and this team works so well in getting people back into work, getting people's confidence up, getting them to hit targets, and it's just happening with fast turnover. I worked it out, I was working out, well, it's funny because they're on these other programs, it's not working, all of a sudden they come together with this. It's the team. People are doing shared work and working together. Worked obviously with another team that I do voluntarily as well. And when you look at it, why this is so big is because of the team and the leadership and the direction it goes. It's really important at the end of the day. Now, if someone's in that team and they're not feeling, well, this team is not working, they've actually got to look at themselves at the same time as well. You know, it's not only about, well, this team's not working, this, that. Sometimes there's things going on as well that you've got to actually look at and say, well, am I part of the team? Why am I not? Is it them? Is it whichever? Yeah.
And to help each other in the two, because there might
That's
be
what
some
it's
sort
about.
of like weaker members in that aren't that maybe confident about themselves, and they just need a little push. They just need to be developed a bit more. So it's important to help one another and not sort of say, "Oh, you're rubbish, get out of the team."
That's it. That's it. And you just said that as well. The key point as well was a good team is find out what the strengths are of a team, but also find out, get rid of that word weakness, the areas that need to be developed in each other. So you might be strong in one area, I might be weak in this area, I might be strong as it, you might be weak. So you work that out and think, well, how can that balance up? How can that match? Obviously, back to the same thing, relationship, marriage, exactly the same thing. That's what makes it work. You know, everybody's got an area that needs to be developed. And if they haven't, they'll rip open their shirt and have a big S written on there, right, which says Superwoman, Superman, whatever, at the end of the day. So everybody's got one. Oh, yeah, weakness is kryptonite, isn't it? So there you go, there's a weakness.
Or the area that needed to be developed.
Yes,
We're
right.
running out of time. Have you got any
We're
more?
running out of time. All right, let's just say this. Successful team. Let's just go for a successful team, straight to it. Successful team doesn't wear names on their T-shirts.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Successful team only wears a particular name which represents the whole group, no individual names. So that's the successful team. That's the success. I'll wrap that up
quick. We managed to get it in. I'm so happy about that. Thank you so much, Chris.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next Monday.
Pleasure. Next Monday.
Okay, so that's it for today's show. But do join us again on Wednesday for another great topic. And if you want more information about the show, do visit this website, chrissybshow.tv. Bye-bye for now.
Standing up. Oh, it's hard, isn't it? So by building it up, it makes it a little bit more easier for people to learn. So. Thanks.
Okay, so we'll just do the next question.
You ready? So leaning forward and up and over, where you go. There we go.
Hold on, let me do that again. So you want to swing your leg nice
Put
and
this
high.
hand here. Will be better. All right. Yeah, you can hold on if it makes you more comfortable. Right, you ready? Yeah. And away you go.
1, 2, 3.
Go! Yeah, that was good. Well done. Super.